The Marshal is actually good. Now that I got your attention, let's roll that classic gaming intro. Let's be honest, how many of you first saw this rifle for a cheap price and thought, let's give sniping a chance? Then you find yourself missing most of your shots and boom, you chuck this weapon in the don't ever use again pile. Don't worry, I was in the same boat until I realized why this weapon is actually good. Hands down, the number one reason is because of consistency. Let me explain. The developers, being the funny people that they are, launched Valorant with Bloom, a game mechanic where weapons shoot random spray patterns rather than fixed. So in other words, when you shoot your gun, your bullets will come out at a random pattern, and most of the time, your so-called skill will be dependent on random chance. It will cause you to miss kills like this, like this, and like this, and a whole lot of this.
Bro, what the fuck?
Actually, let's just roll the montage, okay?
Left. Okay.
Let's go up again.
I missed every shot.
Random bullet spread.
This is not how you become consistent in aim-based games such as Valorant. And it's also the reason why I don't like using sustained fire guns, but that's a topic for another video. So, when talking about random bullet spread, this is where the Marshal comes in, as it will always be 100% accurate when you're scoped in, and even no scoped as long as you're standing still. And on top of building aim consistency, the Marshal is cheap and can be bought at pretty much any round, which means you can always have a reliable access to it, and you can practice with it more. So knowing that this weapon is reliable and consistent, we can implement a few tactics to use the Marshal effectively. First, let's get one thing out of the way. The Marshal is easier to run on defense than offense. This is because players on offense usually have to push through tight corners in order to plant the spike. But on defense, all you need to do is position smart and watch a doorway, making sniping much easier to do. Now that that's out of the way, we can fully utilize the good part about the Marshal. Let's start by understanding that the Marshal is most useful in medium to long range. As mentioned before with tight corners, it's clear that short range is where this weapon suffers. So as a secondary, make sure to run the shorty to nullify this weakness. Despite what you might think of this weapon, it's pretty darn powerful at close range, and you can usually one or two shot every class. So if you ever caught out around a corner, just leave them out of existence. However, you'll still want to focus on your primary 95% of the time, so position in places that puts you in an advantage, such as here, 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 or even here. All these places have one thing in common, and that's that you have a wide horizontal sightline to peek at and a wall to use as cover or retreat behind. What you never want to do with the Marshal is try to run around corners and look for fights. This is wrong, and instead you need to play smart. And I know what you're saying, bro, come on, I'm playing Valorant to completely avoid doing this thing. But if you get into a good habit of playing your cards right, you'll find success more often.
Oh.
With positioning out of the way, let's talk about actually shooting the gun, because there are two ways of prioritizing aim: body shotting and headshotting. Body shotting is underrated. It is a consistent 1-on-1 for body shot, and despite what you might think, 1-on-1 is still a hefty amount of damage. You can one-shot people who are weak and two-shot pretty much everyone else. So don't be afraid to only go for body shots. Headshotting on the other hand, one-shots everyone, which can be rewarding but is way less reliable. So aim-wise, if you trust yourself, go for headshots. Otherwise, stick to body shotting for consistent damage. Lastly, I want to talk about strategy, which is actually the most important part if you wish to succeed. The Marshal is good, but whenever you get the opportunity, still buy an operator. Yes, I know I just talked about how underrated and powerful the Marshal is, but the op exists, and it's way easier to abuse body shots. So basically, We can use the Marshal's low price to rack up credits and buy an AWP whenever you get the chance.
Oh.
Let's go.
Run!
All in all, the Marshal is an underrated gem that people often disregard because of their first impression. If you take the time to utilize and actually engulf in the learning process for this weapon, you'll realize its reliable consistency and the potential it has in the right hands. So don't be afraid to give the Marshal a second try. Who knows, if you play your cards right, maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself dominating the server.
Hello, no one is available to take your call.